know exactly what is out there.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the season finale of BevanWorld, the Explosion Network's Westworld Aftershow, where each week we've been breaking down every episode of Westworld Season 2. Been reviewing it, been discussing it.
Hey Dylan,
Give a hot take.
why is the town named Sweetwater?
I don't know, Nick.
Because it's full of natural splendor.
Oh my god. Where'd you find that? On the back of a fucking cereal box? Reddit's doing bad. Reddit's gone downhill since the season ended.
It's shitpost territory now.
Oh yeah. It's not even just like good theorizing anymore. It's literally just entered shit posting. Good job, everyone. So yeah, this week, if this is the first of our after show content you've ever watched, we always end off the season where we go through and we kind of rank the episodes in our preferred order, what we all think of them, give any lasting overall thoughts on each episode, overall thoughts on the season, and then we see if me and Nick are completely different on what we think is the best and worst episode. I think when we did American Gods, we were pretty, from memory, I feel like we were pretty close.
Yeah, we're pretty much on par.
And then when we did Game of Thrones, I believe
I don't think I was on Game of Thrones.
it was Kieran, Ash, and me, and those two, because they love that season, had completely different answers to what.
What's your bottom episode? All 9 of them.
Yeah, I was like, there was one good episode. They're like, "Oh, you're fucking crazy. This is the best episode." So yeah, that was a little bit of a different show. So, let's start with. Before we jump in and kind of, I'll get you to go first. What are your overall thoughts on the season? Now that you're a week out from it, what do you feel? Especially compared to the first season, which I think is a very different season.
They're almost 2 completely different shows, to be honest. I like this season more for the overarching lore implications and all that kind of stuff, but it was very up and down for me, very hit and miss in some parts.
Do you think it ever actually missed, like officially swung and missed, or?
There's 1 or 2 moments I can think of in particular, especially the first one that comes to mind is that fucking fort battle.
The fort battle is terrible. It does stand out it continues to stand out as being a terrible one, and I will be surprised if any of us have that in the top 5 episodes.
Yeah, but like in saying that, like the highs are very high and the lows are not that low. If that makes sense.
Yeah. I think it's just like when I review like a director I likes movies, you know. So say if I'm like reviewing Tarantino movies and I say Jackie Brown's his worst movie, I don't think Jackie Brown's like a 2 out of 10. But I think like it's not. But you know, like on the same scale, it's like with this season when I say this is the worst episode of the season, I'm still like it's still better than most TV.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
So you can't really complain too much.
No. Yeah, and I just think, whereas the first season, you kind of took it in for what it was, and there wasn't as much like there was like the hints of the Man in Black was William and all that, but it wasn't explicitly. You knew it was 2 timelines, so you weren't nitpicking everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and it's looking back because say I picked up the first season on Blu-ray the other day, with my intentions being within the next couple months to go back and rewatch the first season, because I haven't rewatched it since the big reveal and like kind of going back and watching the first season, knowing that alternate timelines, etc. And like that season, when you pick it up, when you buy it in store, it's Westworld Season 1, The Maze. You know? Like they're very much like this is a chapter or
almost like an anthology kind of thing.
Yeah. And so I'm now wondering is like when Season 2 is chucked out, what is like Westworld Season 2 the door or something, you know what I mean? Like they're kind of setting it up to be, it's like a one big show, but each season kind of has its own theme, or its theme be that how they do the alternate or the timeline stuff.
Kind of like how Stephen King writes his novels. They're like almost like individual books in the one book.
So, well, especially some of them, especially other places. But overall, I think it was a great season. I don't think it was as good as season 1 though.
No, I agree with that.
I think it's hard to live up to that first season because the big reveal and everything like builds up. It just and it's the first season where you get kind of what grabs you about this show in the first place, which is the idea of this park in the future where people can go in, and you get a lot of that stuff when the park's up and running. And that's interesting. It's like one of my favorite parts of Jurassic Park is all the stuff that happens before it goes to shit, you know?
Exactly, yeah.
Like seeing Sam Neill drive around in the car, seeing them stop and be like, oh my God, and this is really cool. And that's the same in the first season of Westworld. It's cool. And then the following Jurassic Park movies, when stuff has already gone to shit, I don't think any of them get close to holding up to the first one. With that said, I'm not trying to say Westworld Season 2 is as bad as what I think Jurassic Park 2 and 3 are, but
I think where Season 2 of Westworld works as opposed to the other Jurassic Parks is that you're still seeing the behind the scenes of how everything fit together and all that kind of stuff, whereas the other Jurassic Park movies are just basically like disaster movies.
Yeah, that's true. All right, let's kick it off then. So let's start with you. And we're gonna do the whole. I'm going from bottom to top, I presume.
Yeah, I'll do that.
You do the same. It's just like
I rank my top 10 in no ranking order.
Yeah, let's have some sort of order. And if you we've done previously, if you say something, you give your thoughts, and then I'll just reveal where it is on my list and jump on the bandwagon, because I feel like it just mucks up the order. Like it's just weird if you say something now and then I wait until like 3 or 4 turns after this and I like bring it back up. It's like we might as well just get it all cohesively under.
You're basically saying, Nick, this is how you do a fucking list show, all right?
Let me tell you how to do a list show. Your top 5 with Nick, guy. What is your number 10 episode?
Episode 3, Virtue e Fortuna.
Yep.
Solely because of that stupid fucking battle.
Virtue e Fortuna is also number 10 on mine.
Yes.
I feel like that's unsurprising at this point, though.
No. Especially how much we ragged on that episode. It was... Yeah, I felt like I did my list with this one at the bottom and just worked my way up.
Yeah, I pretty much chucked my number 1 at the top. I chucked my number 10 at the bottom, and then I kind of worked out how to fill everything in between.
Yeah,
and it honestly, it's just like that is such a big part, and there are so many other weird parts of that episode too. If you think back on it, like the whole the Charlotte sneaking and they just randomly drive all the way around the back somehow in the void, and then that fight scene. You try and look at it and go, well, that was only a small part of the episode. That whole thing. No, it went on for seemingly 15-20 minutes. I feel when you put it all together, and nothing else from that episode particularly stands out to be amazing.
And none of it really, in the grand scheme of things, had any effect on anything, really.
No. I mean, Ghost World stuff.
I mean, they could have done a much different way of Abernathy getting taken away from Dolores or something like that, but just staging this whole battle it's not even like it was like a final stand, they're wiping out most of the security forces, because they just seem to have countless others coming from wherever during the whole show.
Yeah. So it's just like a really shitty battle that doesn't work out. I mean, the episode would have been cool if it was actually a well-shot, cool battle that kind of showed that the humans are not a shitty security force, which they continue to be throughout the entire series, basically. But they were actually shown to be something like badass or something, you know. Yeah. But then if they had a pretty close battle that showed, you know, the robots are going to fight back, and you could have done a cool evenly matched battle, like set up the rest of the season to go, well, the robots aren't just going to be able to walk through and slaughter all the humans if they want to, and the humans aren't just going to be able to knock down all the robots if they want to, because it's going to be an evenly paced battle.
And even her motivation to kill all the guys that she got on her side, like the episode before, makes no sense. Yeah,
and then it was like the other weird things revealed too, like the whole masks, which we never really got explained why that happened.
Yeah, no, they just randomly just showed up with masks on.
Yeah, I mean, we had that whole tease thing in it, and then in the episode we did about it, we talked about how there was that thing from season 1,
Wyatt and all that.
Wyatt talking about people with masks, but it's like that is such an obscure reference that 99.9% of people aren't going to randomly think back unless they're actually searching Reddit for or watching a show like this where we're bringing it up. Exactly. So it's like anyone else watching shows like, why do all the people just suddenly start wearing fucking masks like Ned Kelly around? It's really odd. All right, my number 8 is, or number 9, sorry. Number 9. I went to 8 because my brain's like, I used a different one or something like that. But no, we had the same one. My number 9 is Akami no Mai.
Same here.
Oh, snap. Which is episode 5.
Yep.
And this is the one that we didn't do a thing on.
No. Which I didn't think... Looking back on it now, I don't think we would have gotten much from doing an episode on that anyway, other than for completionist sake.
Yeah, basically.
Because it was cool to finally see Shogun World, but it was very underwhelming.
Do you think it was cool in the long run? Because
I guess the moment of actually seeing it was cool, but like looking back on it, it was like, again, it didn't really add much other than to show that there's all the parks are parallels.
Well, yeah, and I honestly feel looking back,
Maeve got a fucking superpowers in this one.
Yeah, Maeve got a superpowers, which we know you're not a huge fan of at all. I honestly feel like looking back on the season, how excited I was for the Shogun World stuff, and like from the moment we saw the overall trailers for season 2, seeing her with the sword and stuff, I don't think it paid off that well. I don't think it was anything as cool as we thought it was going to be. I think we'll get to it when we get to talk about it, but the second episode, whatever that was called, Phase Space or whatever.
Yeah.
That one stands out way better because you have some of those. It just has more of those cool, beautiful shots and stuff, and the story moves along at a lot better pace, and you don't have that weird end scene from the end of this episode where all that the dancing and the whatever stuff was happening, and I'll take your heart out, and the dude and her powers where she just
and even like overarchingly, other than the power, like they pick up the Japanese girl, but she never really played any part, really.
No, I mean
she was there, and she was there, and then she wasn't at the end.
And then she tags along. She changed outfit somewhere. They're like, "Here, change into your costume," and then she's gone. So yeah, I feel like it had its moments. It was cool. Some of the
I don't think they could have gotten away without showing Shogun World, but doing it this way just didn't work for me.
Yeah. I feel like some of the stuff stands out as being cool. Like having everyone actually speak Japanese and stuff.
It also like explains like that kind of side of the things, why Ghost Nation couldn't be controlled.
Yeah. And we get stuff out of this, like the copied storylines, which did become important to a degree. And that was brought up all in this world.
It was good for little lore pieces, but main plot story wise, just no.
Yeah. So we're 2 for 2 so far.
Yeah.
What do you got at episodes at your number 8?
We might differ here. Mine is episode 10, The Passenger.
Oh, we are definitely differing. Really, you're gonna chuck up the season finale?
Yeah. Looking back on it now, like it had its moments, like definitely good moments, and the highlight for me was like at the end with the reveal, how it was Charlotte and all that kind of stuff. It was just little things throughout the episode. Like it was the most up and down for me, that one.
Mm-hmm.
With the ups being like the Charlotte reveal, Banana and all that kind of stuff, and the down being like the like picking up the Men in Black for no reason. The whole I'm fucking banking on all this, him not shooting me in the head, and then the Clementine grenade and the humans assaulting and all that kind of stuff. It's just, I don't know. It wasn't overall quality wasn't great.
I had it at number 4.
Oh wow, really?
Because I felt like the highs actually just covered up any of my stuff. And I agree with all that stuff you said, like as we talked about last week, of course, the random not shooting in the head and all that garbage was happening, but I still felt like by the time that episode ended and the Charlotte reveal that I never saw coming at all, just had to, whenever I think back on such a high. And then I really loved the more I thought about the ending of the episode and the potential for where season 3 could go, the ending of this season excited me very much. Like I just think about the whole lot. I kept thinking about it. I know this is going to tie in weirdly, but we had that Glass poster come out this week, which spoilers ties in Unbreakable. Well, it's not a spoiler if the fucking poster's out. It's just like you took too long to watch. We've reached the point where they're putting out promotional material. Unbreakable's going to tie in with Split, right?
Yeah.
And it's this kind of universe where it's supposed to be like push these characters out into the world, and you're going to have Bruce Willis versus James McAvoy, I suppose. And for some reason, every time when I saw that poster, it kept making me think about the idea of Dolores and versus Bernard, like out in the real world, like the the things that when the poster dropped, I was just like, it got me thinking about the potentials for season 3, which is weird. But yeah, I mean the highs and I really enjoyed, as silly as some of the door stuff was at points. I still loved it as. Did it all make sense? I don't know. Like, it was very deep, weird sci-fi stuff, which I suppose I just really enjoyed the ridiculousness of it at points and just diving into it. So yeah, I had it in at number 4. Couldn't quite help myself.
Yeah, season 3 has been confirmed. Rocket Mummy.
Yeah, they confirmed season 3. I think like when episode 2 was out or something like that. They did the whole. Do people still watch this? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's move on to the next one. All right, so my number 8 was Journey into Night, which is episode 1.
Yeah, that was my number 4.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I think the same thing also happened at Viewing Gods too. We had 2 that were completely...
just completely switch episodes. I mean, the chances of it aren't like. I mean, there's only 10 episodes, but it's still kind of funny. Yeah, I don't hate the opener. It was. I still remember sitting down to watch it, and I just overhyped myself, like to the point where when it ended, I was just like, okay, I was expecting something bigger out of the gate or something along, nothing happened in it that really blew my mind off. It wasn't until we get to episodes 3, 4 or around there towards episode 2, that they start actually saying, this is where season 2 is headed. This is the story. This is the direction we're headed in. This is where we're going.
I think why I have it so highly is because it's the beginning of the series and the beginning of the season, and I think like what I get the most out of this show is theorizing and coming up with possibilities, and this is where literally we have the most possibilities of what everything could mean. Yeah, I think that's just why it put it up there for like your mind going everywhere. Could it mean this? Could it mean that? Is it this? Is it that? Like the skin and DNA. What does that mean? What are they doing? What could it mean? All that kind of stuff. I think they just kicked me into gear thinking that way, and just. All that is what put it up there.
I don't disagree. I mean, when we did the first episode, I probably got more excited for the future of season 2 after we did the first episode of BevanWorld and we actually got theorizing and stuff. Yeah. But I still remember sitting on my couch, episode finishes, and I was like, I wasn't disappointed per se. Like I was like, it was a good episode. Sure. It was fun. Had a good time. I didn't absolutely hate it, but I did do that thing that we are known for, especially in like the pop culture zeitgeist world these days, where I did probably build myself up expecting a bit more of a bigger pop, bigger bang come the end of the episode, and I didn't get it. And that's not the show's fault. That is my own fault going into it. But can't be helped. Person. Yeah, I'm a terrible fucking person. What can I say? There's no there's no ifs or buts about the situation. But Journey into Night. What do you have as your number 7?
Episode 2 Reunion.
Where
do you have that?
Number 5.
Oh.
I was not that far off. Like
no, like I said, the gap between everything from my 10 and 9 onwards is very small. Yeah, like I thought it was good. It was fine. Like it didn't really add a whole lot. I think the Man in Black going to the town Was that the one where he goes to the town at the end and they all shoot themselves and revealing
cool cameo though.
Hey,
cool cameo.
Yeah, the cameo by Gus Fring.
Yeah, by Gus Fring.
And they all shoot themselves, and then William, like it also moved on, like the theorizing, like the Valley Beyond and him building all that shit into Dolores and Dolores in the real world, and how the whole Westworld really got rolling with Logan being invited to come and being tricked by all the hosts, and then Delos coming there with William and then selling him on the park and the possibilities and all that kind of stuff. Like, I thought it was pretty good, but it just wasn't up there compared to some of the other episodes.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the first episode that kicked off the season to being interesting for me, solely because this is where we start getting into the William starting to build that facility type stuff. This is where we get Dolores out in the real world. This is where we get her seeing it and him being like, I remember, like, I know where I'm fucking going. And this is the first time the episode ends, and it's finally like, okay, so Valley Beyond, what the fuck has he built down there? Where are we going? What's the gist of the story? What's happening? Where are we going? So
yeah,
I feel like that's probably why it's just a little bit higher on my list. I mean, number 5, it's just like sitting in the middle of my list. Yeah. It's like it is the first episode that when it finished, the first episode of the season. It's only the second, but compared to the first episode, which I just said didn't get me super excited by the end of it or any of the plot stuff, because I didn't really understand where it was going. This one ended, and I was like, okay, what's that? What's this thing? What are we doing? We got young William back. Yes. What's, like, there was just more elements that overall excited me.
Yeah.
In this one, I feel, compared to the previous ones.
That's fair.
What is your number? What are we up? What was that? No, we're up to my number. I guess confused.
Up to your number 5.
We're up to my number 5, which we just did.
Yeah.
No, we're up to my number 6.
Okay, yeah.
Are we?
We're up to my number's 5.
Do your number 5.
All right. My number 5 is episode 9, Vanishing Point.
Vanishing Point I had at number 2.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Well, tell me why in my episode I love shit.
No, I'll just say why it's shit. The main thing that that I remember from this is obviously the man in black shooting Emily.
Mm-hmm.
When I think back at it, that's the thing that stands in my mind. It was a very shocking moment, and you're like, isn't she a host, all that kind of stuff. But all the other stuff was like Charlotte getting, Charlotte reprogramming Clementine to be the grenade. And
the grenade, yes.
Yeah. I think that adds to the thing I didn't like, and the whole, I liked Maeve getting the visit from Ford and all that kind of stuff. But other than that, it didn't really stand out a whole lot.
Yeah. I feel I feel like if you've been watching BevanWorld or listening or whatever, wherever this whole fucking time, then we're going to reach a point where you should probably know what my number 1 is. I feel like I've kind of made it obvious to a point.
I know what it is.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's not mine.
But those 2 episodes, I feel, are such a package and a crux of this season, because they're very much about one man in one episode kind of questioning the reality. They're both episodes just about people questioning their reality,
Yeah.
That's what it kind of just...
They're kind of like a and B side.
Yeah, it's like it's side A of the tape and then side B of the tape. And I those 2 episodes just stand out thematically from the season to kind of represent what season 2 is to me, I guess, as the
and also another thing that didn't work for me was the random Ghost Nation battle with Dolores' group.
Yeah, that was weird.
That
was a whole... That was like 3-minute segment or something like that, so...
I guess I'm just more picky than what you are.
Well, apparently, I mean, honestly, I thought you would like. When I chucked this on, I thought our top ones would be closer.
It is hard because all the ones in like the top 5 I love, and it was hard to rank them.
Yeah.
Like I said, all the spaces in between all these are very small, and they could, on any other day that I wrote the list, they could have swapped.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Now I figured out where we went wrong. I missed my number 7.
That's right. We'll go past it.
That's right. We'll go past it. It's fine.
Everyone knows your list is wrong.
No, this is pretty normally. So my number 7 was episode 7. Les encourages. Les encourages. Les crunches. That's right, Nick.
Les encourages.
You got it. You good job at the language. Yeah. So this is the. I feel like your reaction is this is a lot higher on your. Are you gonna tell me where it is on yours?
It's my next one. Whatever, episode 5.
So far, okay. So you're this is the one.
I think it's still high on my list for the shock value of Maeve getting shot, Man in Black getting shot.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it's not higher because at the end of the day, it didn't really have any lasting implications.
No. And the more I got further distanced from the episode and how cool that initial shootout was and how much I enjoyed it, the more I get pissed off as how we end that fight.
Yeah.
And how ridiculous it is, and how this fight eventually leads to the ridiculousness of the Man in Black for the rest of the season, kind of. You know? Like, this is point A of that shit starting to a degree. It's like, okay, guys, good job, everyone. But you managed to crawl over with 18 bullet holes in you or whatever the fuck's going on. Good job, everyone. I'm glad you managed to do that. So, I mean, I don't hate the episode. It does have cool moments, of course, but...
Oh... I just realised that stupid fucking scene was in this episode where old mate finds the blonde host in the cradle and fucking gets seduced and blows up with the grenade. The old guy with the slick back hair.
Yeah. That fucking idiot. I forgot about that. The continuing, which I'll stand by for her as like her character, badass way to go out. Was kind of a fuck you to... It felt like a fuck you to how stupid males are at time and also just how stupid humans are, you know?
Yeah.
It was like a combination of dumb human and then dumb male, like, shit to do, obviously. Which... and it kind of got owned for
I think they could have done it differently. I don't know, I guess, like... I don't know if it would work with his character, but she was, like, on the ground bleeding out, wounded, crying, like, calling out for help, and he... has a moment of mercy or sympathy or something, as opposed to it just seemed very implausible.
Well, do you reckon happened. Even if she was crying on the ground in that room, that we jump onto the BevanWorld for that week and you're not just like, she just killed 20 of your best friends and you're going to go try and help her?
I'm just trying to think of a better way to do it, but I just can't. It's just the way it happened was bad.
Her line is still one of my favorite lines of the series. I don't care how corny it is. I don't care if the scene's not amazing. Like, just taking out of context that line and those couple seconds, fucking amazing. The welcome to Westworld, boom, just fucking blow up. Like, I'm a sucker for those kind of. That's very like 80s cheesy Terminator, Bruce Willis something, you know. Type.
This episode I particularly like where Teddy goes fucking all Terminator.
Yeah, well, Teddy just starts smashing that dude's face in or whatever this one, so that's cool. What? We're at the a bit above the halfway point. You go, you do.
Well, that was my episode 5, Liz and...
Well, do you want to do your number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? So fuck it, I'll do my next one. So,
well, my next one we've already done as well.
Yeah, so I'll do my my number 6.
Yep.
On my list. Phase Space. Which is somehow, I'm only realizing now as I'm looking at my list, I'm like, I had episode 7 at number 7. I had episode 6 at number 6 somehow. I really didn't put this. I didn't really do this on purpose when I put it all
You
together.
put it into a list and hit random.
Yeah, apparently. Didn't really put it all together. So, of course, this is the second part of the Samurai Shogun World saga, 2 episodes. And as much as I really didn't like the first one, I enjoyed a lot more of this second episode. I was
reading through the description of the episode and I was like, why the fuck is this so high?
Why?
I was thinking, is it because I had nowhere else to put it? But then I realized it is the ending scene that made it that high, solely.
Yeah. For Ford and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, like, all the Shogun World stuff is over kind of quickly. It's over in the first half, and the first
they fuck off out of there.
They fuck off out of there, and they're back into Westworld, and they start going towards her daughter. Like, that's where they start heading towards her, where her actual daughter is going to be. And the other thing that stands out from all this is, of course, that solely looking at the Shogun World stuff, it's over a lot fast, but what we do see I enjoyed a lot more. In that it's just more of these kind of beautiful shots, kind of cool. I could appreciate more the costume design and like the effort they went to just do that stuff, because I wasn't getting dragged away and distracted by the annoying plot elements that were happening in the episode prior to this one, episode 5. So that's why I enjoyed this one a bit more. But then, yes, of course, we do get further in. We do get Elsie and Bernard getting into facility. We do get the weather answers. We do get...
And we get Cobb.
We get Cobb. And then we get Bernard entering the... What the fuck is it?
Cradle.
The cradle, yes. We get Bernard entering the cradle towards the end of it, which is this cool moment. I remember it still stands out as like the idea that they could put their brain and it was that all that stuff's we start getting deeper into the sci-fi stuff of this season in this episode. I feel up until this point it's like Maeve's getting superpowers, what the fuck, I don't really understand. All right, that's a bit weird, but sure, whatever. This episode, they're like, we're gonna put your brain into the fucking matrix that's inside the matrix, and it's a fucking sub-matrix of the system, and then you're going to go in there, and then there's another Dolores and all this stuff because there's copies and it's a matrix system, and then you're going to find Ford because he's not dead, but he's in here because he put his consciousness, and that's when the show starts diving more into that sci-fi.
Also, like that this episode reveals the implications of the changes Dolores made to Teddy. That's a ruthless, like, killer.
Or ruined him.
Yeah.
Because this episode does start with the whole him walking down the street.
Yeah, walks out. You think he's going down to pick up the can of condensed milk, but picks up a bullet and goes to the train and like shoots the guy and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So that was I think that. Did you say? I can't remember if I missed
that was episode 3 for me.
Number 3 on your list. Yeah, you had a lot, because when you looked at me when I said it, I thought your reaction was initially, I had this a lot lower or something like that. But that makes your response make so much sense. You like looked at your list and was like, why do I have this at number 3? I'm confused.
Yeah.
This is the. I'm very confused. What's going on?
I was reading the summary to jog my memory.
In case I forgot what any episode was, I copy pasted the summaries below my list in case I got onto the show today. It was like, why did I put this here again? Like episode 4 was about what? Because it's like the first couple stand out in the series I find, and then like the last couple stand out, and it's like the 7-6 episodes between. You're like,
ones in the middle,
which ones were which? I can't really remember. So what? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. What is your number 4?
My number 4 was Journey into the Night, episode 1.
Oh, that's right, it was. Yeah. What do you got? 3 then? Yeah, 3.
2 left.
Yeah, 3. No, I mean, like, your number 3.
My number 3 was Phase Space.
I've got 2-1 left.
Yeah, I've got 2-1 left.
That makes more sense. I forgot to do it. Makes more sense. If you was watching the stream, you could see what I was doing. That would explain how I got confused. But continue. What's number 2?
Number 2 is Kixiua.
So this is my number 1, but I feel like that is I feel like that was just self-explanatory after, right?
It was.
Like there was no point after we talked about this episode that I was swayed away from it being the best episode. You know, there's and well, you give me your thoughts because then I have something to say that I find odd for Westworld.
I think particularly it was shot beautifully. It was such a, I guess, change of pace. It was kind of refreshing not to deal with all the other shit that was going on, and just how finally get the answers of how Ghost Nation fits into the picture, and just basically the heartfelt, gut-wrenching story of a Kikchika. Okay. Losing his daughter.
Let's not start now trying to pronounce it properly.
But yeah, I honestly forgotten all the other stuff was happening in there with Maeve and the analysis and all that kind of Charlotte and all that kind of stuff. It's just what immediately comes to the forefront is his story, which I think is beautiful, tragic.
You're like, what is the word for describing the system in which I feel? Yeah, I mean, we talked a bunch about it, and the thing that kind of stands out about this episode for me, like looking back on the series as a whole and saying this is my favorite episode, and the thing that I find interesting about that is, although this is my favorite episode, and one of the reasons it stands out is because it's this kind of self-contained story. Would I want that to be the direction Westworld goes as a whole? No. But within the context of this season, having this one-off episode go off and tell their story, which up until this point, the Ghost Nation stuff had been such an enigma for, 17 episodes prior. Yeah. You know, having that be such an enigma, instead of spending a couple episodes, like a normal episode, going backwards and forwards to try and explain to us what the Ghost Nation stuff is about, they just go, fuck it, we'll just do kind of this self-contained story, basically. I mean, we swapped back to Maeve a couple times, but by the end it all ties in, I feel, like with her talking to him and stuff. So that's fine. But kind of doing this primarily self-contained story works to finally get this information out there.
Definitely.
Looking at episodes, well, basically looking at episode 10, where the Ghost Nation heads, it's like when you know where they finish, and the idea is basically, well, they're not going to be in season 3, like they're gone.
Yeah,
they were the only happy ending of this season, you know.
Yeah.
So,
pretty much.
And to get that happy ending, you needed to tell this story of, well, the ups and downs of he not only his life, but the Ghost Nation, I suppose, and like how they were changed and all that sort of stuff. And then just the happy story, the only really happy resolve of season 2 is basically a love story.
Pretty much,
when you look at it, it's like the only happy result we get is this story of someone who loses the person he loves, tries to find him. And I still love the idea, like the spiritual stuff, and looking at like what we're never going to know, but it's like when you think about what he would think when he visited the facility and found her, like I don't even know. And I find that interesting because it's like,
because he doesn't seem to have a functional understanding of technology or anything like that. Like to him, it was all spiritual and like an afterlife, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Which is why, it's interesting. It's and as I was saying that last week, it's when he goes to that place, is that the in between to him? Is that hell?
Yeah.
Is that heaven?
Is that purgatory? Yeah.
But then the world that he lives in, he knows that's a fake world. He goes on about how it's a fake world. So it's like, well, if he thinks maybe that's purgatory or something where he is currently, then what's he think the other place he visited?
Yeah.
And the implications on, it's all very spiritual stuff. And by the time we get to the end of it, when they jump through that door, and it's, you know, it's just giant gleaming fucking light in the sky, basically, and they jump through it, and the world on the other side is like happy fields and sun. It's the spiritual elements of all that. I just right on the nose.
Yeah, well, the whole season has had kind of like undertones of God and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
but this episode really brought it to the forefront.
Yeah, and without this episode, you obviously don't get the payoff of episode 10, And I don't feel like if they tried to tell this story to set up the payoff of episode 10 in a different way, like spread it out all season, going backwards and forwards between his story, it wouldn't have worked as well.
Yeah.
It's instead we got this very... I mean, and they don't even try and rush the story, really. I saw people complaining. No. I've seen people complaining about how long some of those sweeping shots lasted. You know, it's like, well, just fuck off, cut some of them down. And I'm like, no. I mean,
it works.
It's fine. It works for me. So, yeah, definitely my number one episode of the season. Love it. Beautiful. Looking forward to the 4K Blu-ray because I know that episode's going to stand out as one of the more prettier things that I can go back and look at from season 2. But with all that said, if Westworld executives ever watch this or, listen in, hey, how are you going? No, I would not want you to take the direction of the show to being more self-contained episodes about characters.
They did it twice this season and it didn't work. The second time with the Shogun World did not work at all.
Is that self-contained really, though?
This one wasn't self-contained either because we had the whole... Maeve in the facility getting analyzed and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's as self-contained as what self-contained can be in Westworld.
As far as Westworld goes, yeah. I suppose that's the thing. We can at this stage it's like we can figure out where the last episodes was. So the one episode we had remaining was it called?
The Riddle of the Sphinx.
The Riddle of the Sphinx, thank you. So the Riddle of the Sphinx I had at number 3 on my list. I had it at number 1.
Uno numero.
So the Riddle of the Sphinx, in case you forgot, this is the synopsis of the episode since it's Nicholas's number 1. And these are my top 3, so I feel like we got close enough for this. An dynamic figure becomes the center of Delos' secret project. The Man in Black and Launch follow the path to Los Mudas. And they run into a battle. So why is this number 1 on your list? Because I know for me, there's just one reason why it's number 3 on my list.
It really is the biggest impacting, I guess, the biggest impact to the overall lore, I guess, of the show that we've had yet.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it just blows the scope of the show
wide open.
Yeah, exactly. the fact that they can copy human consciousness, they've been copying guest consciousnesses, like they can put them into hosts, try to figure out how it works, and then we've also got William and Lawrence going to that town, and you also get the implication that the Man in Black is also kind of on a redemption arc.
Mm-hmm.
You think he's on his way back. He could be the person he used to be before he turned into the Man in Black.
I believed it at the time.
Yeah, we all believed it up until he... And we also... The reveal that Grace is actually William's daughter, Emily, which nobody didn't think that was going to happen.
No one thought that was at all what that was. But... I mean, having that said, I'm so glad, and we talked about that on the BevanWorld for that show. It's like, I'm so glad that they didn't drag that out. It's just like, they introduced it in episode 3, and then episode 4, here it is. That's the answer. We're not dragging it out. We know the audience is smart enough to just go, it's his daughter. Don't try and fuck us.
But yeah, like the whole implication of that they were future Facebook.
Yeah.
It's pretty.
Yeah. I mean, it is the future of Facebook.
It's also I guess it's what I enjoy out of shows like this. Like my favorite episodes of the X-Files are the ones that implicate the overarching story as opposed to the self-contained stories and all that kind of stuff. It's just I'm very much a bigger picture kind of guy, like overarching lore. Like I'm a wiki diver. I go, how does this fit together? Like. Kind of like you are with Star Wars and that kind of stuff.
And the reason this episode stands out for me, apart from everything you've just said, of course, the introduction of the idea of them copying. I mean, when they did this episode, it's worth saying, of course, that like we started theorizing that's probably what they're doing. This is what they're doing. Sure. We didn't get confirmation until later, but I mean, looking back in context, it is cool that this is where they introduced that idea and stuff.
Because it was never confirmed. You're like, oh, is it the kind of technology they have in this world? Is it beyond the scope of the show or that kind of stuff. But
yeah,
and also the acting of the guy that plays Delos, how he's breaking down, and
that's why I've got it at number 3.
Yeah,
basically for his scenes.
Yeah, the tragedy of like where the last time we visited him and like pretty much just emotionally destroys him and just lets him stay in there. And with Bernard is this the one where Bernard and Elsie go in and see him where he's like at the bottom, cutting his face up and all that kind of stuff?
They do that, like that's a couple episodes from now.
Oh, okay.
It's like when they get into the facility or whatever.
Yeah.
Or is that the episode after this, I think, maybe? No, must be the end of this one. Surely.
I'm pretty sure it's this one.
Must be the end of this one, yeah. Looking back, because I'm like, episode 5 is that, so no, it must be the end of this one. Yeah. Yeah, I know, and to me, it stands out, looking back, all those scenes of having William come in, and then
getting older, progressively
older,
changing, and
then eventually we have that one time where Man in Black, enters, or however, whatever you want to, like, it's like William, and then we get Man in Black William entering, and that was cool reveal because it's the first time we've seen him like out in this context, I suppose, like working within, like we know he's such a higher up power, or like the CEO or whatever the fuck he is. I don't know inside the Delos world, but this is like the first time we see him in that world, like he's there
not
doing
being
something.
the Man in Black,
not being the Man in Black. He's out there doing something, and he walks out and instructs with people. And that little world they created, and the test, and everything in that room, and then those scenes with him like working out, and the music, and they were just put together really, really well, and they stand out. And that guy, I can't remember the actor's name off the top of my head, but that guy who plays Delos. Was one of the standouts of the season, and one of the standout performances. I mean, he's below the guy who plays AK.
Abernathy. Abernathy too. When he was
Abernathy was really good. He has that one really good scene, so I'd put him at number 3. My 3 favorite standout performances from the season would probably be AK is number 1. That actor, for his performance. Because there's those close-up scenes in episode 8 where he's like, he's about to cry and all that, like, amazing, I think. I'd put the guy who plays Delos as number 2, and solely he jumps number 2 because of that scene where he jumps up and he starts crying about his son when he finds out he's like, where's Logan? Like, he finds out Logan's dead, and it's just like, here's this father just crying for his son who just, like, I mean, that's like the heartbreaking stuff of that episode. And then I would put Abernathy dude for his breaking moment in the terrible episode. It's like the one good thing about the episode is his performance in that fucking horrible episode. Basically, it stands out. And then I don't know who would go from there, but that's kind of my standout performances of this season, I feel. But yeah, I mean, really thanks. Great episode. That is our official rankings. So to go over them again. I had 10, 9, 8, 7, down that order. I had number 3, number 5, number 1, number 7, number 6, number 2, number 10, number 4, number 9, and number 8. Nick had 3, 5, 10, 2, 9, 7, 1, 6, 8, 4.
Correct.
That's the ranking order. If you're watching the YouTube version, if you've been watching the YouTube video or watching live on Twitch,
click on the annotation.
They're just right above you. They're written there. If you listen to the audio version, that's all you get. You have to slow down everything I just said. So overall, what would be called the official Explosion Network? I would say episode 8, because you had it at number 2, I had it at number 1. I feel like it's pretty easy just to call that episode 8 was our averages out as the official Explosion Network's number 1 episode of BevanWorld for all times until season 3 comes out. And we continue on with that until season 3 is out. Any lasting things you want to say before we end BevanWorld for 2 years until the fucking 3rd season?
Yeah, it's gonna be a long time before you see us again, except unless you watch anything else.
Unless all you watch is this show.
We're here solely for BevanWorld.
See you in 2021. Is Donald Trump still president? Let's hope not.
21, 3 years.
Well,
20.
You reckon they haven't confirmed when it's coming out?
I thought they confirmed the...
No.
cycle again.
If you look on like IMDb and stuff, they have it down as a date. But Jonathan Nolan, in that interview I read, like after the episode last week, when they asked him about the air date, he's like, "Yeah, I'm still like trying to work it out with HBO. They want it this day, I want it this day." Yeah. You know, he's like, HBO's happy as they proved with the second season to let us have the time, and he said once again, like he said after season 1 ended, I want to spend the time to get the story right, the scripts right, you know, get everything right and not rush it out. So I definitely wouldn't expect it next year. So
now that I think about it, once after this year or next year the Game of Thrones ends, they don't really have a flagship show, do they?
No, which is probably why they were trying to push this to be yearly and actually not miss a year. But I mean, they can probably, this is a separate topic, we'll cover it quickly with the fuck it, let's go into it real quickly. So they're going to, Game of Thrones will end after next year, but then Westworld will probably be back the year after, so that they're kind of right for a period of time, and then probably the year after that they'll have the Game of Thrones prequel series going.
Oh, okay,
would be my guess if I was going into that. So then they're like, we're fine, we've got all the big budget fucking programming. Whereas they're like, someone quick, Sopranos is back. What? Like, what are we? Sex and City's back or something.
The Sopranos Miami.
Yeah, some fucking random shit like that. All right, this is it. This is it. Thank you for joining us for BevanWorld for this, our first season, but for the second season of Westworld. Shout out to Rock and Mummy for basically always being here nearly every week in the chat. Appreciate it. She's crying in the chat. Number one fan of BevanWorld.
You're a big fan of BevanWorld and Dylan
and I. If you've been watching on the YouTube video audio version, of course, explosionnetwork.com for all the other great shows on content. You can also go on over to our Discord, explosionnetwork.com/Discord, talk about movies and TV shows and other great content over there.
Look at the awesome Westworld memes I've posted in there.
Yes, look at there's just a channel where Nick's just like, meme spam. And then it's like, spam. I'll probably stop for a minute now. I won't go any further. But yeah, if you like Westworld memes, check out our Discord. That's a good selling point. If you're on Twitch, make sure to hit the follow button if you're not already, wherever the fuck that is. If you're on YouTube, make sure to ring the bell.
Yeah, ring-a-ding-ding-ding.
Ring-a-ding-ding-ding. And if you're listening in the audio version, you probably can't rate us unless you're on iTunes, at which point you should rate us on iTunes. Everything else, useless. Yep. Absolutely useless. Don't know what you're supposed to do at that point.
Rate us on Pocket Cast.
Pocket Cast should really add a thing to, as far as I'm concerned.
Develop a rating system for Pocket Cast, give it to Pocket Cast, and then rate us on it.
Look, Pocket Cast, we want sponsors. Track.tv, we want sponsors. That's all.
Find us on Stitcher Premium.
Thank you. Stitcher. We're on Stitcher, actually, if you want to go on Stitcher.
Yeah.
So you know, if you actually use Stitcher, we're not on Stitcher Premium, but we are on Stitcher.
We're premium content on Stitcher.
You can follow Nick on Twitter at Lord M Pry. You can follow me on Twitter at BevanWorld, VRVALADIL. Explosion Network's Twitter at ExplosionPod. Once again, explosionnetwork.com. Until the next season, or I mean next time you watch,
or we may have special episodes coming up sometime in the future.
Bye.